Nearly 2.5 miles beneath the ocean's surface, the Titanic has rested silently for over a century. Now, for the first time, an advanced underwater drone has entered its deepest and most undisturbed sections. You can see all the major pieces and then zoom in on the smallest detail. As the team watched from the surface, they saw images no one expected. Each turn of the drone revealed more, increasing the tension and fear in the control room. What began as a scientific mission quickly became something far more unsettling. By the time the drone reached its final destination, the entire team understood they had uncovered a chilling secret hidden in the darkness. Deep down, the mission begins. The North Atlantic is one of the most dangerous and unpredictable places on Earth. Its waters are known for sudden storms, freezing temperatures, and powerful currents that can shift without warning. In this hostile environment, a research vessel anchored hundreds of miles from the nearest shore. On board was a team of specialists, assembled for a mission like no other, to explore the Titanic in greater detail than ever before. The wreck lies nearly 12,500 feet below the surface, a place of total darkness and crushing pressure where no human diver could survive. The team had been preparing for months, including underwater archaeologists, marine engineers, drone pilots, sonar experts, and preservation specialists. Every member understood the importance of precision. The Titanic has been underwater for more than a century, and a small mistake could damage its fragile remains forever. The centerpiece of the mission was a specially designed underwater drone. Before launch, the team reviewed the final checklist, inspecting cameras, thrusters, and the tether to ensure everything was secure. The atmosphere was tense, but focused. Once the checks were complete, the drone was slowly lowered into the icy water. From the control room, the team watched as its lights sliced through the blackness. As it descended, the screens displayed nothing but darkness. Then tiny particles began to drift past the cameras, shimmering faintly in the light. Soon, the ocean floor appeared, littered with debris, rusted metal pieces, broken wood, and fragments of personal belongings that had lain silent since that tragic night in 1912. The scene was haunting, like a moment frozen in time. Through clouds of sediment, a massive shadow began to take shape. The bow of the Titanic emerged from the darkness. Even after more than a century, its silhouette was unmistakable. Exclamations rippled through the control room as it appeared on the screens. The drone carefully circled the wreck, recording every detail. With the exterior mapped, the team prepared for the next stage of the mission, sending the drone inside the Titanic to areas sealed off since the night of the sinking. Before becoming a silent wreck, the Titanic was a marvel of engineering and ambition. In 1912, it was celebrated as the largest and most luxurious ship of its time, a demonstration of progress and wealth. Its design included cutting-edge technology, such as watertight compartments that many believed made it unsinkable. The Titanic symbolized human confidence at the beginning of the 20th century. On board, class differences were stark. First-class passengers enjoyed extravagant suites and elegant dining rooms, while for third-class passengers, the ship represented hope and opportunity. The Titanic began its voyage on April 10, 1912, from Southampton, with stops in Cherbourg and Queenstown before heading to New York. The first few days were uneventful until the night of April 14th, when it struck an iceberg, causing catastrophic damage and rapid sinking. More than 1,500 people died, making it one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. The ship remained hidden for over 70 years until its discovery in 1985 by Robert Ballard. Since then, expeditions have focused on the exterior due to the fragility of the interior. This new mission marks a turning point by attempting to explore the internal areas, sealed for over a century. For this purpose, a drone capable of withstanding the crushing pressure at a depth of 12,500 feet was designed, constructed with titanium and special alloys, reinforced seals, and adjustable LED lights to avoid stirring up sediment. The interior of the Titanic is extremely dangerous, with unstable walls, narrow passages, and fragments of rusted metal. So the drone was built with a compact frame and multiple thrusters that allow for complete control, enabling it to move forward and backward. It moves with precision, sideways and outwards, and even hovers completely still. From the ship on the surface, trained operators guide its movements in real time via a live video feed, carefully considering each decision to avoid accidents that could damage both the wreck and the drone. Equipped with ultra-high-definition cameras, the drone captures incredible detail, revealing things like engravings on furniture or the texture of an abandoned suitcase. Some cameras use lasers to scan the interior and generate accurate 3D models of the ship. These digital maps allow researchers to study the Titanic virtually, reducing the need for repeated physical explorations and protecting the fragile site. A cable connects the drone to the vessel on the surface, providing constant power and transmitting data instantly. This connection is the lifeline of the mission, ensuring that no information is lost and allowing the drone to remain submerged for extended periods. Artificial intelligence adds an extra layer of safety by helping to stabilize the drone and avoid collisions when underwater currents change suddenly. Underwater currents shifted suddenly. With the drone fully tested and ready, the team now had a machine capable of entering parts of the Titanic that had remained sealed in darkness for over a century. What lay inside would test the limits of both technology and human understanding. Mapping the forgotten spaces when the drone entered the Titanic's interior, the video feed revealed a world that had been sealed for over 100 years. The narrow opening led to dark passageways where no human had entered since 1912. The drone's lights sliced through the black water, revealing collapsed corridors and rust-covered railings. Every slow movement stirred up clouds of sediment that floated on the water, making navigation delicate and dangerous. Some parts of the wreck were completely destroyed. Walls folded in on themselves and ceilings sunk at sharp angles, creating hazards for the drone. Other sections, however, were surprisingly well preserved. According to researchers, the near-freezing temperatures and low oxygen at these depths slowed decomposition, leaving certain rooms eerily untouched. In these areas, time seemed to stand still. Chairs remained upright, tables were in place, and dishes were still scattered across the floor of what had once been a dining room. Even some suitcases and personal belongings were visible, offering a haunting glimpse into the lives cut short that night. The grand staircase, a symbol of elegance and luxury, appeared on the monitors as a rusted framework. Long strands of rust and bacteria, known as rusticles, hung from its remains like fragile threads. Although much of it had collapsed, its shape was still recognizable. Seeing its current condition was a stark reminder of the contrast between the Titanic's past glory and its tragic fate. Using the drone's advanced cameras and mapping lasers, the team began creating detailed 3D models of the interior. These digital maps allowed them to see how the wreck was deteriorating and identify sections at risk of total collapse. It was the most complete view of the Titanic's interior ever obtained without physically disturbing the site. Then, in a previously unexplored part of the ship, the drone's lights illuminated something deeply unsettling. Beneath a thick layer of debris, there appeared to be a sealed doorway, its frame strangely intact despite the surrounding damage. The edges were unusually clean, as if whatever lay within had been deliberately shielded from the chaos that destroyed the rest of the ship. A faint trail of disturbed sediment seemed to ooze from the crack, as if something had shifted or moved inside. The operators watched in silence. Some speculated it might lead to storerooms or crew quarters. Others suggested quietly that it could contain something far more disturbing. No one wanted to test the theory. With no safe way to open it, they marked the location for later investigation, and they moved on, leaving the sealed space undisturbed. For now, the find deepened the mystery. It suggested that the Titanic still held secrets hidden within its wreckage, waiting to be uncovered. But there was something unsettling about that idea. It was no longer just about history or exploration. The deeper the team ventured, the more they felt that what they might find was far darker and more disturbing than anticipated, forcing them to question how far they should go and when the investigation would cross the line of respect for the dead. Ethics beneath the waves, the Titanic has always carried a weight beyond its more than just a simple shipwreck. It's a site steeped in history, emotion, and controversy. The team knew they weren't just studying a piece of the past, but working in a space many consider sacred. This awareness influenced every decision, from planning to which images to share. Before publishing any material, there were long and difficult meetings. Some members believed that showing the shipwreck as it was important for historical accuracy. Others feared that certain scenes would cause pain to the descendants of those who traveled on the Titanic. Ultimately, they agreed to carefully filter what would be made public. Images that appeared to show remains or belongings that were too personal were reportedly kept private out of respect for the families. They also consulted with relatives of passengers. With mixed responses, some were grateful for the remembrance, while others preferred to leave the ship undisturbed. This conflict heightened the team's sense of responsibility, making their work both an act of compassion and of discovery. Respect not only involved decisions about the images, but also the physical handling of the site. The Titanic is extremely fragile, and the slightest disturbance can cause collapses. The drone was operated with extreme precision, moving slowly to avoid hitting structures or stirring up sediment. Every action was monitored to keep the site as undisturbed as possible. This balance between exploration and reverence weighed heavily on them. They knew their work would influence how future generations viewed the Titanic. Soon, this careful approach would be put to the test, as the drone began to reveal evidence pointing to a deeper mystery, findings that challenged established beliefs about what happened in 1912. In the final hours, the images began to show details that historians had only guessed at. For years, it was thought that the ship's breakup was understood, but the new images from inside challenged these ideas. Some areas thought to be destroyed were still standing, while others considered stable had collapsed. This unexpected mix suggested a more complex sinking. The team analyzed patterns of twisted metal and broken beams. The position of the debris gave clues about the forces that tore the ship apart. Certain passageways were filled with objects swept away by torrents of water, indicating how the flooding advanced, destroying compartment after compartment. The objects told their own stories: perfectly preserved leather shoes, a closed suitcase, intact plates and glassware, a still-sealed bottle of wine. These objects were evidence of lives cut short. In one corridor, a row of shoes pointed toward a collapsed door, as if a group had tried to escape. In another room, piles of luggage suggested they had been pushed by a burst of water. These clues offered information about the sequence of the sinking and escape routes. Not all of them fit the known version. Some walls were bent inward, as if something had forcefully rammed through them. Beams bent in different directions indicated a violent break, and a small storage room had heavy objects stuck to the ceiling, as if an internal explosion had lifted them. These irregularities suggested events yet to be explained, more chaos than had been recorded. The new evidence raised more questions than it answered, and it prepared the team for what was to come when the drone moved into even deeper areas. As it approached a sealed section of the wreck, which would contain the most shocking discovery of all, the images left the team stunned. As the drone ventured deeper into the wreckage, it reached an area blocked by fallen beams and thick layers of sediment. To gain entry, the operators guided the drone with extreme precision, carefully gliding it through narrow openings while watching for any sudden collapses. Every move carried a risk. A single mistake could destroy the fragile structure or trap the drone forever. Inside the control room aboard the research vessel, the tension was palpable. The monitors displayed nothing but floating particles and darkness. Suddenly, lights illuminated a wall, and then an opening leading to a hidden chamber. It was a place completely undisturbed since 1912. The room appeared largely preserved. There was overturned furniture, shoes and suitcases scattered across the floor, and dishes that remained where they had fallen that night. The icy water and lack of oxygen had slowed decay, preserving the space like a time capsule. It was as if the past had been silently waiting to be seen again. The drone's lights slowly scanned the camera until they captured something in the far corner. At first, everyone thought it was more wreckage. Then the image cleared, and everyone in the control room fell silent. What they saw couldn't be mistaken for shadows or twisted metal. They were human remains. The figure was small. The shape of the arms and legs left no doubt. It was a child. The body lay slightly on its side, fragments of clothing still clinging to the skeleton. As the drone zoomed in, another figure appeared just inches away. This second body was so close that, according to some members of the team, it looked as if the two had been embracing as life slipped away. Their bones weren't intertwined, but the position suggested a final act of comfort in their last moments. No one spoke. Several operators covered their mouths in shock, while others looked away, visibly shaken. It was terrifying. For over a century, these children had remained sealed in darkness, hidden in a part of the ship no one had ever reached before. Then, as the camera tilted slightly, it revealed something a few feet away that intensified the horror even further. Half buried in the sediment was a leather shoe, clearly belonging to an adult. The seams were still visible despite the passage of time, and the surface was darkened and sodden, yet intact. Its presence told a story no one wanted to speak aloud. The find suggested the children hadn't been entirely alone. An adult had been with them in those final moments, possibly a parent or guardian. But where was that adult? Their body wasn't there, leaving only the shoe as evidence that they had once been present. The presence of the adult shoe raised unsettling questions. Whispers and theories arose among the researchers. Had the adult died and been swept away by the currents, leaving the children behind as the wreck settled into the sediment? Or, as one visibly distraught team member suggested, had they escaped in the chaos, making the heartbreaking decision to save themselves while the children were trapped below deck? Whatever the truth of that night, those small bodies and that solitary shoe were silent witnesses to a story of despair, fear, and choices too terrible to imagine. The team understood the sensitivity of what they were seeing. Even the mere suggestion of human remains would spark controversy. After lengthy discussions, they agreed to keep most of the footage private. Only a few carefully selected images were retained for historical study, while the rest was archived. According to some reports, not even all team members had access to the unedited footage. As the drone backed through the wreck and ascended to the surface, a heavy silence filled the control room. The discovery had changed everything. The sealed door they had explored earlier concealed a truth that would haunt the team forever. The world might one day demand answers, but for now, the full story remained buried with the Titanic, trapped in the darkness beneath the sea. When the drone returned to the surface and was carefully hoisted aboard, the mission came to a quiet end. The team remained gathered, processing what they had witnessed in the depths of the ocean. The images captured inside the Titanic were unlike anything they had ever seen before. Back on Earth, the information was initially shared only with certain academic circles. Historians and marine scientists were invited to private meetings where they examined the data behind closed doors. The team avoided releasing full details to the public, fearing sensationalism or misinterpretations. Some researchers speculated about the significance of the find, while others urged caution until every detail was confirmed. Whether the recent mission marks a beginning or an end remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that the shipwreck continues to challenge humanity to confront its past, its ambition, and its respect for those who are no longer with us. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.